Hey you guys, so this morning we had the Critics' Choice nominations come out just 2 days after the Golden Globes. The Critics' Choice I tend to put more stock into than the Golden Globes. They're a pretty key indicator on how things are going to go whenever it comes to the Oscars, which is obviously the big award. And it's kind of annoying, they have more nominees for the Critics' Choice Awards categories than they do in like any other awards body. So we're going to see 6 actors per category. We're going to see more than 5 directors nominated. It's just the way it is. But anyway, I'm going to be going over the director, best picture, and acting categories today. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to go ahead and dive right into it. So I'm going to go in the same order I went with the Golden Globes, and let's start with director. They nominated James Cameron for Avatar: The Way of Water, Damien Chazelle for Babylon, Todd Field for Tar, Baz Luhrmann for Elvis, Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, Sarah Polley for Women Talking, Gina Prince Bythewood for The Women King, sorry if I pronounced her name wrong, S.S. Rajamouli for RRR, and then Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans. And obviously, this is more than 5, so the Academy Awards are going to have to shrink this down quite a bit. But already, some interesting things about this. A few people that got in from the Golden Globes. You have James Cameron, Baz Luhrmann, who's looking more and more like a contender for an Oscar nomination with all of the awards that he's getting nominated for. It seems like now that he's gotten in at Critics, he has a way better shot at the Oscar. But the DGA, the Directors Guild of America, whenever they announce their nominees for Best Director, that'll be a really key indicator on who should get in there come Oscars night. So we have those two guys. We have Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once, McDonagh for Banshees of Inisherin, and then we have Spielberg for The Fabelmans. But the people that got in that didn't get in the Globes are Damien Chazelle, Todd Field, Sarah Polley, Gina Prince Bythewood, and S.S. Rajamouli. Babylon, between this and the Globes now, is starting to rack up a few awards. Sarah Polley, I felt like, was really snubbed for the Golden Globe for Women Talking. She's been a top 3 contender on Gold Derby ever since I started checking it a few months ago, so the fact that she was left out at the Globes surprised me. It's not shocking to see her here, especially with this many slots. I would imagine that as long as she continues to rack up the nominations, that she should be there on the Academy Awards night. And then a couple of people here that I love to see. S.S. Rajamouli for RRR. I didn't think that this movie stood a chance whenever it came to nominations, just because, I don't know, it's just not been a key contender on any of the platforms that I've looked on leading up here, but I am all for RRR getting in for the Academy Awards. I love that it's included here, and the director is getting some recognition here at the Critics' Choice Awards. And then you have Gina Prince Bythewood for The Woman King. And that's really interesting. The Woman King, I talked about this in my Golden Globes video, but mostly about Viola Davis. It's gaining more traction right now. It got nominated for this and a bunch of other categories for the British Choice Awards. So I think it's a movie that we really need to start taking seriously. It's gaining some traction right now. And then the Critics' Choice Awards, they have 2 acting categories that aren't at the Globes. They have Best Acting Ensemble and Best Young Actor. For Acting Ensemble, they have Banshees of Inisherin. Love that. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Love that too. The Fabelmans. Solid. Glass Onion. Well deserved. The Woman King. Nice. I said it, and I'll say it again. The Woman King, it's starting to gain more and more traction, guys. Do not sleep on that movie. And then we got Women Talking. Okay, this is really good. The Critics' Choice Awards is making up for the snubs, the multiple snubs that the Golden Globes had for Women Talking, and it's proving that Women Talking is not going anywhere for the major awards bodies. Again, my theory is that it just wasn't a big enough movie for the Golden Globes to want to fit it in there, and they don't have enough slots there in their nomination, so they prioritized other movies. I'm glad that it's getting some recognition there. For me, it's a toss-up between Banshees of Inisherin and Everything Everywhere All at Once. Gosh, that's a really hard one. I'm actually gonna give it I don't know. I can't make a decision right now on that one. I love both of those casts too much to make a decision. It's a tie for me. Best Young Actor/Actress, we have Frankie Corio for Aftersun, Jalen Hall for Till, Gabriel LaBelle for The Fabelmans. Love that. Bella Ramsey for Catherine Called Birdie. Then we have Banks Repeta for Armageddon Time, and Sadie Sink for The Whale. I haven't seen The Whale yet, but I love that Sadie Sink got a nomination here. To me, she was the best part of the last season of Stranger Things, or the best performer. And so I'm sure that she's fantastic in The Whale. I really need to go out and see it, but I'm glad that she got a nomination here. For me, the winner here is Gabriel LaBelle. He just completely owned The Fabelmans. I'm shocked that he's not in the conversation more for Best Lead Actor leading into all of the awards. But I'm glad that he's at least getting recognized here. It's good to see his name. Best Supporting Actress, we have 6 nominees here. We have Angela Bassett for Wakanda Forever, Jessie Buckley, Women Talking, Carrie Condon for Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Stephanie Hsu for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then Janelle Monáe for Glass Onion. I was really upset that Stephanie Hsu was snubbed at the Golden Globes. I think that between her and Jamie Lee Curtis, if I had to choose one person from Everything Everywhere All at Once to get nominated in this category, I think it belongs to Shu. But that's just me. Jamie Lee Curtis is good in the movie as well. But I'm glad that both of them got nominated here. Angela Bassett, I've been sleeping on that performance. I said in the past that, you know what, she could get in the Oscars. I'd be okay with it. But now she's got a Critics' Choice Award here. It's not just the Golden Globes putting in a big name in this category to gain some traction. This is a legit voting body right now. And her name is just gaining more and more traction leading up to it. She is a legit contender to get nominated at the Oscars. I still don't think she's going to win. I think right now it's Carrie Condon's to lose. She is spectacular in Banshees. I love that she's getting nominated here. So I think it's still Condon's, but we got to start thinking about Bassett in this category, man. I think at this point she's a top 5 contender for sure. Jessie Buckley was snubbed for the Golden Globes for Women Talking, and I'm happy that she was featured here. It seems like the studio may have made its decision on who they're going to push in this category between her and Claire Foy. That's what I think was confusing a lot of people that vote for these sort of things as to which one of the Women Talking they should vote for here, because both of them seem to be front runners for the award, but they're just splitting the vote right now. So it seems like Jessie Buckley is who they're going to push for this. She has a very good chance of winning this award. Women Talking comes out very soon. I'm going to go see it. I'm excited to go see it. Apparently it has a ton of great performances. I'm happy for Jessie Buckley. She's a great actress, and good for her for getting nominated here. Then we have Janelle Monáe for Glass Onion. I love her in that film. I think that she's deserving of the nomination here. I could totally see her getting nominated for an Oscar. She has a lot to do in that movie, and it's good to see her in a legit voting body right here, especially after she didn't get the Golden Globe nod. I'm almost more surprised she didn't get a Golden Globe nod because she has a lot of fans of her music that would have seen her name and maybe tuned in for the Golden Globes, but no, they decided not good enough for them. But you know what? Good enough for the Critics' Choice Awards. I'm happy for her. For me, I've seen all of these performances except for Jessie Buckley because the movie that she was in just hasn't come out yet. So for me right now, I would give the award to Carrie Condon. I love Stephanie Hsu here as well. She would be my number 2 personally. That's just me. Maybe Jessie Buckley comes out with Women Talking and it just blows the roof off the joint and I just decide that she should win, but I don't know yet. Okay, for Best Supporting Actor, we have Paul Dano for The Fabelmans, Brendan Gleeson for The Banshees of Inisherin, Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans, Barry Keoghan for The Banshees of Inisherin, Ke Huy Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and then Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway. And a couple of key takeaways here. Both Banshees guys get in again. Both of them nominated for the Golden Globe, and now both of them nominated for the Critics' Choice Awards. As we get closer and closer to the Oscar nominations, it's looking more and more likely that they're both going to be there, but who knows? I love that for both of them. I didn't think that Barry Keoghan would stand a chance in this category just because of how many people are deserving of the nomination and the fact that Brendan Gleeson is probably going to get the biggest push from the studio between the two actors in that movie. But I love that he's being included here. Paul Dano and Judd Hirsch come back from being snubbed at the Golden Globes, get their nominations here. I would personally prefer Paul Dano to get the Oscar nod over Judd Hirsch. That's just me. I feel like he had more to do in the movie. But Judd Hirsch certainly had a fantastic couple scenes in The Fabelmans. He's a memorable character, and it's fine with me if he gets an Oscar nod. I just don't want it to be at the expense of someone else who at least I thought did more for their film. Ke Huy Quan, Everything Everywhere. I think that he's the person who's probably going to win. If anybody beats him, it's going to be Brendan Gleeson, but another great nod for him in this category. And then Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway. I don't have a whole lot to say about that because I haven't seen the film. I don't believe it's come out yet. It's coming to Apple TV Plus, but I love Brian Tyree Henry, so good for him. On a personal note, I'm happy for you. Best Lead Actress, we got Cate Blanchett for Tar, Viola Davis for The Woman King, Danielle Deadwyler for Till, Margot Robbie for Babylon, Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And excuse me for a moment, but I'm going to gloat a little bit. I called it. Yesterday in my video for the Golden Globes, I said that the race for the top 5 contenders is probably going to be between these 6 people, and somebody's going to get bumped out for the Oscars. And you know what? With the Critics' Choice nominating 6 people, I'm not going to lie, I feel pretty good about myself about predicting these, but to me, these are the leaders in the pack whenever it comes to this category. There's someone that could come out of the blue and surprise us and get a nomination here for the Oscars. But you know what? I think the Critics' Choice got this exactly right. I was really upset that Deadwyler got snubbed for the Golden Globe, especially since they split that up between drama and musical or comedy. I don't know what they were thinking, so I'm happy that she got included here. This is really huge for Margot Robbie. Again, Babylon is getting more and more of a push despite kind of the mixed reactions that came out about it. So good on her for getting a nomination here. The rest of these, well, no, I should point out Viola Davis for The Woman King. Again, we need to pay attention to her in the movie as a whole. And yeah, I get it. The Woman King came out and it didn't make massive waves with the general audiences, but it's clear that the critics love this. Viola Davis is getting a huge push right now, and The Woman King is represented here for the Critics' Choice Awards. Another great nomination for her. And then we have a couple of no surprises. We got Michelle Williams, Michelle Yeoh, Cate Blanchett. I would imagine that this is really between Blanchett and Yeoh. I'm pushing for Yeoh. I haven't seen Tar, so I'm partial. I need to go see Tar for sure. But yeah, I think that this is a really solid category that the Critics' Choice Awards got exactly right, in my opinion. Next, we have Best Actor. We got Austin Butler for Elvis, Tom Cruise for Top Gun Maverick, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for Aftersun, and then Bill Nighy for Living. And this is a really interesting category here. Hugh Jackman drops out of the top 6 and is replaced by Paul Mescal for Aftersun. That is super interesting. I know Aftersun has been critically acclaimed across the board, but it didn't really seem like it was getting a whole lot of attention for actual awards. And I love this for Paul Mescal. Good for him. This is a really huge nomination for him at a legit voting body. This could lead to more for him in the future. I think it's really interesting that Tom Cruise got nominated for Top Gun Maverick here. He was left off of the Golden Globes list for this film. And you know what? Good for him. I personally, whenever we have to drop it down to 5, I probably wouldn't have him in there. The next one that I thought was interesting was Bill Nighy for Living. He's kind of been in the 4 or 5 slot everywhere that I've looked. And this is a huge, huge nomination for him. And it's important for him in a movie that's so understated, like Living, that a lot of people probably haven't heard of, that his name pops up as many times as possible. So another key nomination here for him. Good on you, Bill Nighy. The rest of these aren't really that much of a shock. We have Austin Butler, Brendan Fraser, Colin Farrell. The more days pass, the more this feels like a 3-horse race, and that Brendan Fraser doesn't entirely have this in the bag. I said this in my Golden Globe video yesterday, but I feel like Austin Butler is going to win the Golden Globe, partially because of Fraser's history with the Golden Globes. Don't need to get into it with that, but The Whale has come out, and it's kind of been a dud. It's overall well received, but the movie as a whole is not as well received as Fraser's performance. Apparently, you go see The Whale to go see Brendan Fraser in The Whale. And that could serve to hurt him. We've seen it in the past with people who are in movies that aren't as critically acclaimed as others, that they end up losing out on wins or even nominations. And so whenever you are stacked up against Colin Farrell for Banshees of Inisherin, which is universally acclaimed by critics and audiences, you're going to have a hard time winning that than you would have had if your movie came out and it was critically acclaimed. Even Austin Butler for Elvis. Elvis has a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not destroying the critics' circles right now, but you know what? It's getting recognized everywhere. Baz Luhrmann got nominated for director, and Elvis just more and more is looking like a legit contender to get nominated at the Academy Awards. And Austin Butler is fantastic. and Elvis. And personally, I don't have a problem with either three of those guys winning at this point. I've seen two of them. I need to go see Brendan Fraser in The Whale, but come on. If you've seen the trailer for The Whale, you know that that is an Oscar-winning performance, or at least an Oscar-nominated worthy performance. So I don't have a problem with any of those guys winning. I just think it's an interesting race. It's a lot more closer than we thought previously. So I don't know who's going to get this. We could see Fraser, we could see Farrell, maybe even Butler. Those are the three that I would anticipate to win this, but who knows? Maybe Tom Cruise comes out of nowhere and gets a win. Then last and certainly not least, we got Best Picture, Avatar: The Way of Water. I'm seeing that tomorrow. Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Glass Onion, RRR, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking. A few interesting things here. First and foremost, I love that RRR is here. The director gets nominated and the movie gets nominated for the biggest award of the night. This is a huge key nomination for RRR. I didn't think it was going to be there, but I don't have a problem with it at all. In fact, on the contrary, I would love if it got nominated for Best Picture for the Oscars. This is a huge nomination for it. I'm super happy for RRR. Glass Onion getting nominated is also very interesting. Of course, this is critically acclaimed. Janelle Monáe also got nominated, but it is the one movie on the Best Picture list, I believe, that didn't have its director nominated for Best Director for the Critics' Choice, which I think is really interesting. But Glass Onion, it's gonna have to get a lot to push it to Best Picture at the Oscars. It's got a bunch of technical categories here at the Critics' Choice, so it's clear that the critics were really high on this. It's just gonna depend on what people in the industry think of it at the end of the day. But you know what? I'm glad that it's getting more recognition. I think that it's better than the first Knives Out, and it seems like the critics agree. And then Elvis gets in for Best Picture too. I just talked about it with Austin Butler, but man, I can just speak for myself. I got to start taking this movie seriously whenever it comes to actual contending movies in this category, or at least movies to get nominated. I don't think it's going to win, but its director, its lead actor, and now the movie itself all get nominated. That's huge. And then Babylon getting in for Best Picture is huge too. I mean, you have its director and lead star getting in. They left off Brad Pitt for supporting actor. But you know what? The primary concern for this, at least for me, was the mixed reviews from critics that came out of the initial screenings. But if it's good enough for the critics to nominate it here for Best Picture, it could end up going on an awards run leading up to the Oscars. The rest of these aren't terribly shocking given the projections that I saw beforehand. Avatar, I'm seeing that on Thursday. I'm very excited. Apparently, it's fantastic. Banshees, of course, is very, very big amongst the critics. Everything Everywhere All at Once, Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Women Talking. Seems like all of those belong there and they're expected to be there. It would be surprising if they left one of those off. As for who I think is going to win this, I think it's probably between Banshees, Fabelmans, and Everything Everywhere. I'm going to give the edge to the Fabelmans simply because it's Spielberg's life story. Critics love Spielberg. The audience loves Spielberg. Who doesn't like seeing him win? I could see them just rewarding the movie as a whole. It's a fantastic movie also. If you haven't seen it, it just expanded. I believe it's in 900 theaters across the country. It's very much worth the price of admission. But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Banshees or Everything Everywhere come out and they pull the rug out from underneath the Fabelmans and they end up getting the win here. They were very highly critically acclaimed. Audiences love them. Everything Everywhere's been the talk amongst all the critics circles since April. So the fact that it's still in the conversation and getting nominated is huge. People haven't forgotten about it. That could very, very easily end up winning this. But those are just some of my takeaways for some of the major categories for the Critics' Choice Awards. This is a really important awards body as we're leading up to the most important award of them all, the Oscars. I didn't run through the technical categories today. That might be a future video that I go through. I just don't want this to be an hour long. I'm sure it's already a little bit longer than my other videos. It ought to be shorter than the Golden Globes one. That one was like a half hour. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you watching it all the way through. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed this. I love making these sort of videos running through award season as we lead up to the Oscars. So if you like it, please subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.